So Netflix has recently put out a teaser for their new animated movie similar to The Nightmare of the Wolf. This one is called The Witcher Sirens of the Deep, and it's an adaptation of the Little Sacrifice short story from The Sword of Destiny. I wanted to talk about it because I already have some thoughts on it. First of all, it's immediately obvious that Netflix will change the story. If you are wondering how can I know that when they've put out just a short teaser, it's simple. There are underwater scenes from the point of view of the fish people, and you see their king saying,
"We've had peace for too many tides to have it end now."
Nothing like this is ever mentioned in the books. Closest we ever get to the fish people is the scene when during low tide, Geralt is investigating the disappearance of some sailors and pearl fishers near Dragonfangs. Dandelion goes with him because he wants to find some pearl mussels as a birthday gift for Esidaven. They find a giant underwater staircase that descends deeper and deeper into the sea, and Dandelion starts speculating where it might lead to. He references a legend about a city called Is that was submerged by the waves. Then he slips and falls into the shallow water on the first step. As Geralt is trying to help him back up, they hear an ominous sound of a bell coming from the depths, and they are eventually attacked by strange fish people who emerge from the sea. These creatures don't talk, they just want to kill Geralt and the Dandelion, and they are deadly. Geralt would probably end up dead if it weren't for Sheena's. The reason why this scene is so creepy and ominous is the fear of the unknown, fear of the deep water. Seeing the underwater scenes from the point of view of the fish people and their king talking to them will completely ruin this. When you swim in deep water, it's creepy because you don't see what's in the depths underneath, and you don't know what might emerge out of there, but your imagination runs wild. It's similar to the fear of the dark. You are scared of the darkness because you don't know what might be lurking out there. And even if there would actually be something, not knowing what is there is way scarier than shining light on it and seeing what it is. It's the reason why not showing the witch in the Blair Witch Project was a good decision, because it made the movie scarier. And same with Jaws. Imagine that Steven Spielberg would show the shark in Jaws immediately, and the shark would also talk about why it's killing people. It would be ridiculous and it wouldn't be scary at all. But Netflix wants to turn the short story into Aquaman from DC because they obviously want to make it all about the war between the greedy humans and the fish people. They are always trying to make The Witcher more grand and epic than the story from the books is. The short story is mainly about the relationship between Geralt and Esidaven, and the stuff between Agloval and Sheena's is happening more in the background. War between the humans and the fish people is mentioned only once, almost at the end of the short story, when Agloval threatens with the war if the humans can't get pearls anymore. But he immediately forgets about his warmongering when he sees that Sheena's sacrificed her fishtail for him and has new human legs. So yeah, as you can see, Netflix will change the story from the source material yet again. And we know how that always ends up. They think they can do better than Sapkowski and come up with their own better version of the story, but it's always way worse. Another thing I want to talk about is Geralt's physique. He looks fine in most shots from the teaser, but there's one shot where he looks like a huge tank, and I'm so tired of this. I don't understand why Netflix insists on Geralt being a giant beefcake. They've casted one of the most buff dudes in Hollywood to play the role in the live-action version. They also came up with this as the official merchandise figurine of Geralt. And when they had an opportunity to recast him, they gave the role to yet another hunk. And now when they are putting him in an animated movie where you can draw his physique however you want, they do this. Geralt is described as being lanky and slim. I'm not opposed to him having some muscles, but he should still look athletic and fast. Not like a bodybuilder who can barely move because of how huge he is. From the teaser you can also hear that Geralt is voiced by Doug Cockle, who voices Geralt in the games, and while I've seen that a lot of people are excited because of this, I'm pretty disappointed by it. I'm disappointed in Doug. If he wouldn't say anything about Netflix prior to this, I would probably overlook his involvement in this project. But the thing is that he was one of the first people who actually expressed some criticism towards Netflix after Henry Cavill was pushed out from the production. He said himself that the Netflix show deviates quite a lot from the books, and he doesn't understand why the writers did that, and he gets why Henry would want to leave because of that. But then he works with them on a project which will clearly also fuck with the source material. So to me it looks like he's going against his own words just to get paid. Although to be fair, I don't know what his situation is, but this is not a good look, Duck. And what I also hate about it is that it made normies excited for the movie. I wouldn't have a problem with it if Netflix would actually learn their lesson and did a faithful and respectful adaptation for once, but it looks like they are doing the complete opposite as always. It just seems that they are really desperate to win people back, so they hired a guy who voices Geralt in the games which people love, so Netflix hopes that people will associate their movie with something that's actually good, even though they haven't changed their ways one bit when it comes to adapting storylines faithfully. It's actually funny how they are now trying to desperately associate themselves with the games, even though they've tried so hard to distance themselves from them and do their own thing in the past when they were starting the show. They thought that they could do better because they of course wouldn't lower themselves to doing something similarly like some medium for nerds. And now when everybody turned on them because their creation sucks, they are desperately trying to ingratiate themselves with the gamers using Doug Cockle's voice and a clear reference to Geralt's armor from The Witcher 3. If you have any self-worth, don't take this bait. It's just shiny dangling keys which will most probably amount to nothing more than a cheap trick to attract people back to a sinking project. Last thing I want to mention is the animation art style of this movie, which is bland and boring. Netflix is using this type of animation for almost all of their animated projects, like all the Castlevania stuff, Dota Dragon's Blood, Blood of Zeus, and so on. It's used for so many projects that it became generic. And because it's sort of a blend between Japanese anime and Western style animation done in the superhero animated movies, it doesn't fit the more Eastern European style of The Witcher at all in my opinion. I was saying this from the beginning with The Nightmare of the Wolf. Japanese anime style does not fit the Witcher world at all, and the Western style animation used in the DC animated shows and movies is not a good fit either. And what Netflix is doing is sort of a combination of the two. I want something more unique for The Witcher. This IP is in itself pretty unique in the fantasy genre because of the inspiration with the medieval history and folklore, so it also requires a unique art style if you want to do an animated version of it. I actually really liked the art style of those animated flashbacks from The Witcher 2. It had the right gritty and dark atmosphere in my opinion. There's even a YouTuber called OKGovBear who creates his own animations for his lore videos, and he's using the same art style. I really love his work. I supported him on Patreon for a while, so he did a design for recruitment flyers of the Nazir Brigade for me. So something in this vein would be pretty cool, or even something like the animations in The Witcher 3 would be good. Even our old animated fairy tales have way more character than what Netflix is doing with this. I don't want The Witcher to be associated with this generic cheap-looking animation. Anyway, that's all I have on this topic for now. I'll be doing more videos about The Witcher, so stay tuned. Let me know what you think about this and see you next time.